I cannot believe it's still that we wake up every single morning to this view. It has not gotten old just looking out the window and having the river right in front of us. But what's really exciting today is we actually get to do some traveling on that river on hull 4. So Steve is here. We've got the whole crew. We're going out to his boat, which has now been brought a few hours down the river closer to the port. So we're going to get sails up today and then hopefully tomorrow go for some actual like sails performance wise. So getting to see how this boat is going to perform is just huge for us. But gotta pack up the camera bag so that we can capture it all. Let's go. After 8 years of the nomadic life, involving crossing oceans in a 34-foot Sabre, refitting an aluminum boat, and then taking that to the Arctic Circle, we're back at it again with a brand new build. This is Matt and I'm Jessica. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and join us every week as we start our newest project of building a 42-foot catamaran from the ground up. The sea trials are happening about a 2-hour drive south of Ho Chi Minh City. A makeshift yacht club has just been started by Mac's crews 3 days earlier, and this was a spot they plan to bring all future hulls to for testing. Welcome to traveling in Vietnam.
Well,
3 inches.
Woman.
There's a storm coming our way, so we need to get on the water, get some things done before we get pelted, but good way to test the boat too.
Yeah, I need that camera.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is our first time seeing the boat with the rig up. Cannot wait to get aboard. With us for the day was Steve, who the boat actually belongs to,
Welcome home, Steve.
and Julian, a South African who is the other half of Mac's cruise, focusing on the design aspect.
If there was that much, you see this kind of.
This amount of deck space is amazing. I keep thinking back to our last boat, Elements of Life, the aluminum 37-foot monohull, and what a world of difference this is going to be just for absolutely everything. So I'm so excited. I can barely even think right now. We've just stepped aboard. This is the first time I've been on deck. Of course, Matt has a million things to inspect. But it's so cool to see it finished, and we're going to see it in action.
Yeah, I don't really get it.
And we're off. A little bit of breeze in the wind. Be an interesting day for doing the sail changes and just kind of getting everything up and testing them out before tomorrow. I think we're really going to put them to use. This was the first real chance Matt and I had to look at the boat in person, so while the crew was working to get us to our location, we were busy inspecting everything around us. Behind me here is the opening to the ocean. Seaside town of Vũng Tàu is over here. So we've kind of gotten to an open area. There's a little bit of a breeze, and we're just about to raise the main to test that alone. And then I think we're going to start switching out other sails.
let's sail.
I know. This is perfect. How do you feel sailing, Matt?
Thank you. I'm so overwhelmed being on this boat right now, on our boat right now, that it's hard to think about the actual sailing aspect of it. But it's just so refreshing being out here, hearing that sound of the water
Against the hulls.
engines. It is loving life right
This
now.
is pretty amazing.
This is why we're doing this, is to have this feel. Just something we just experienced a minute ago was we're in probably 4 knots. I got to go back there and take a look. We're probably in 4 knots of wind, and we were moving
2.5 knots?
2.5 maybe. We're fighting a current right now as well. But then a puff of wind came through, and the acceleration that we felt, everybody just stopped and looked at each other.
Oh, right now it's doing it again.
Doing it again. You can feel it. You can hear it. You can feel it. The boat is just moving. It is, love it.
5 knots wind, 5.2 knots speed.
What?
True. So we're doing above wind speed right now. 5 knots of wind. We're doing 5.2. And nothing is fully trimmed yet. Julian is going back there right now. He's adjusting it. You can hear the sound of it, and we're still doing better than wind speed. This is the first time this Code Zero's been out. It's the first time any of these sails have been out, and already we're seeing the power of this boat.
This is a huge motivator for us to get back to our own boat and start working, because we haven't been on the water in so long. And just, again, Matt was saying this amazing feeling of like you sit here and these gusts of wind come and you hear the water against the hulls. I'm in love. I am in complete love with this boat so far, and we've only been on her a few hours.
Giddy up!
I think it's almost beer time. After that uplifting and motivating sail we just had, it was time to bring the sails back in and wait for the first rain shower of the day to pass over us. Terry's right-hand women, 2 and Twin, were busy in the galley making everyone banh mi for lunch and giving some downtime to the crew before going back at it.
All these people are in the stern right now. We're doing a constant 12, 3, 17 knots of wind. The sails aren't even trimmed properly. They're trying to train
day
the
one.
staff. They're trying to train the staff right now. So there's still some work to do there, but what we're getting is awesome.
This is with 14 people aboard, fully loaded, tanks full, provisions full, and we're still able to maintain 13 knots and 20 knots of wind. Ooh, that was enlightening. Looks like we're about to get hit with another nasty storm, so I just got the sails in. I'm gonna start the motor, and I think I'm heading back to where the vehicles are.
Okay, they'll get it.
Yeah, there's some lightning over there.
Is that going to hit us? Oh, I thought that was going.
This is why I wanted to run down here. We're going to get smashed. And let's get rid of the main. Yeah, let's drop it. The main.
Yeah. Drop the main. Getting all lines in and tidied up. We don't want to take any chances that anything is going to happen to this when the storm comes.
Bring them up. Wow, that's gnarly.
Isn't that?
Remember I said before, if it circles us, then we know it's starting to get real.
so far the winds haven't gusted up to what I thought they would be seeing the storm. We're getting a little bit of rain right now, but let's go check the radar.
We'll be through it quick.
I'm going to just take a chip of the back so they'll load up with water.
But we've got our sailing in for the day, so time to celebrate a good day on the water.
Yeah, and then just
Be back tomorrow, do it even harder.
Yep.
So day one of training, this is really just to raise the sails and kind of get the crew familiar, kind of like learning the boat and learning everything. But the fact that we have 14 people aboard, 600 liters, I think, of water. This boat is loaded down, and we were doing like 13, 14 knots and about 17 knots of wind. So we are so happy, so excited. Can't wait to finish our own and get out on the water. We hope that you've enjoyed watching our first day of sea trials on the Max Cruise Sailing Catamaran. Matt and I are still so excited that we were able to achieve boat speeds that were over wind speeds and light air and into the teens. Once the wind started building up into the teens, that is exactly why we chose this boat, because of all of its performance in the varying conditions and all of the miles that we're going to be able to sail. Won't have to turn the engine on in light airs. We can get fantastic miles when the winds are starting to pick up too. So make sure to leave a comment below on what you think of the Max Cruise, anything from the performance of it to the interior. If you watched last week's video too, I know that we would love to hear your thoughts, and Max Cruise would love to hear your thoughts. So comment below, and then also stay tuned for day 2 of sea trials coming up next. We are now on day 2 of sea trials, and we've just come down the river. Some really good winds are here, so we're going to take the best advantage of them that we can. The mainsail is getting raised. We've basically kicked off anybody who's not necessary in the boat. They're going to be in the chase boat following us. So we're going to really see what this baby can do. We're going to trim the sails right. We got Steve and Julian going to be manning the helm, trimming. So yeah, Matt and I are going to just be running around with cameras trying to capture all of the action. Since this is Steve's boat, we thought it would be a good day to put him behind the helm while Julian and Terry worked on lines. We'd be staying in the river once more, as the vessel legally isn't allowed into the ocean for sea trials until it has cleared out of the country for customs. They actually have some pretty strict rules about sailboats here. We knew the tacking capabilities of the Max Cruise would not present us with a problem, but what did were all of these large weeds floating in the river, and quite swiftly with the current. From the time we started raising sails, steerage would be lost, and we'd keep rounding into the wind. It turns out these weeds were getting lodged between the hull and rudder, and for the life of us, we spent the first 30 minutes trying to figure out why things weren't going as they should. Eventually, they cleared away on their own, and we managed to do a bit of good sailing in the 17 knots of wind we were receiving. Not bad, guys. 10-3 and 16 knots. Sea trials have come to an unfortunate halt at the moment, and we're going to need to get the main down. Unfortunately, we're just surrounded by these piles of weeds that are getting blown up the river, and they're jamming the rudders, which means we are losing all steerage. Every time that we try and get the code 0 out, we just end up like rounding up into the wind. And so, yeah. But we got a couple of really good runs. I think I saw us doing 10.2 knots and about 15.5 knots of wind, which is amazing. You know, if you can average that. So we'll see what we can do, but unfortunately the rudders need to be looked at. And we've got today's storm on the horizon. So we also have to deal with the fact that we've got great wind now, but once that storm does pass over, it's going to take all of the wind and we're going to be left with pretty much nothing.
Okay.
This is fucking awesome.
The seat there?
Yeah.
I know.
I like that how deep it is too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's net. Well, that would explain the poor steerage.
I looked at the valve and I'm going, oh guys,
It turns out that it was a net that was caught in the rudders, and I would love to say that we can get out of these weeds and try again, but unfortunately, I am watching a wall of water come at us right now, so I think we're gonna head back to the mooring if we can catch some wind on the way back. Maybe we'll get the sails up again, but really, really glad that we got what we did in yesterday.
Different when I was skyping and I could just hit it.
yeah.
All right, here comes the rain, guys.
You hold it stiff.
All right, if you were paying attention all the way to the end of our last video, you'll have heard us say that we had some exciting news to announce in this video, and there's some like really, really exciting news, but there is one thing I want to quickly cover first, which is still good news, and that is Max Cruise has been moving so swiftly in their productions that they actually still have openings to take delivery in 2023 for their 44-foot sailing catamaran, which is what we were just on in this episode. So if you are interested, definitely contact Terry if you are in Europe, Asia, or Africa. And we also have Steve, who owns this boat, who handles all of the boat sales here in the US. We've got their information in the description box below. Prices are going to be going up on July 15th, so if you have been on the fence, you can still lock it in with a down payment right now. But the really, really exciting news is Matt and I are headed back there in a few weeks, if you can believe it. When we did our little tour of the yard and showed the progression of the hulls that they were doing, Hull 6 was the next one that was going to launch, and that is their very first electric hybrid boat. So that is going in the water in early to mid-August, and Terry thought it would be a great idea to bring us back out one more time so that we can be there for the launch and do sea trials on that as well. So make sure to leave a comment down below. Tell us exactly what you want to know about this boat, if there is anything we didn't cover in this mini-series the first time, just about Max Cruise or their yard, but definitely their boats, what you would like to see. So put that down below and we will make sure to cover it on our next visit out in just a couple of weeks. How exciting is that? And say bye to Ho Chi Minh.
Bye, everyone.
How crazy, on our way down the river to Vũng Tàu, we can see the Max Cruise at the marina getting ready to depart.
Yeah, we have no idea. We were probably 30 minutes into the ride already and just looking out the window, and all of a sudden like, hey man,
There
there's a
she
catamaran.
What a beautiful boat. Turns out it's basically our boat. Turn the camera around, then you can see us.
Hello.
Hello. We're on a boat ride
Yeah.
to Vũng Tàu.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, we had the cutest little girl sit behind us on the ride, and she came to join us at the end. Very talkative. Perfect English. Got off the ferry, and oh my goodness, this place is beautiful. I really wish that we had another day to spend here, but we're flying out tonight.
we'll see if we can pull up photos of this area 15 years ago and how completely different it is. I feel like I'm in one of those resort type areas because the beach is absolutely beautiful. Park behind us is absolutely gorgeous. This was not here. The beach was completely different. There was none of this structure behind us. Just, I don't recognize it at all. It was beautiful then, it's beautiful now too, so in a different way.
Normally I don't get scared by creepy crawly things, but I was enjoying my beer and I looked down at my foot. And that guy was literally on it.
Yep, nope.
Nope.
Nope, shut that down. So many legs.
The plan for today had been zooming all around Vũng Tàu, but once we got here we realized how much more built up it was than we remembered from 15 years ago. And even though we've tried to walk across some of it, it is still hot here, and plus we're still recovering from jumping over 11 time zones and then spending all that time in the factory. So what our trip here ended up being is just kind of like hopping to a few different beach bars, enjoying the sights, which to be honest I think is exactly what we needed right now. Just like a nice unwinding day to bring to an end our trip here in Ho Chi Minh. But it also reminds us of the kind of life that we used to live on our boat. So I think when we get back to Maryland, it's going to light a fire under our butts to get our boat back on the water as soon as possible. But we're just about to hop on the ferry to head back. One more dinner out in Ho Chi Minh, and then we fly home.
Japan.